So this information can be seen later in case that you have any more questions or in case that some of your peers didn't make it. So as I wrote down in our chat, I'm going to be giving today some points, extra points, because you came here, you joined the meeting. As you know, this is not mandatory, but it will be really helpful. So we can talk a little bit about our signature assignment. So as all of you know, our main project for the class is a product plan, or a signature assignment, where we're going to be exploring all the different elements that we need when we are launching a new product. So in order to do that, we need to evaluate different aspects, and we're going to combine this with managing information systems. So we're going to learn by doing, and the main element here is doing a project that is going to be a group project. So I sent already, and I want to share right now my screen because I want to show you here if, can you see the image? Can you see the screen? Yes? Okay, awesome. So as you can see, in the modules, we have the module 0, which is a module that has different tools and templates and examples that are really useful for the whole course and the whole class. So as you can navigate, we have here the signature assignment. And inside you can find the description, you can find some examples that you can download. You can actually even see what are the groups that we have assigned, because the main idea is to create a product that is going to be more realistic. So whenever you're launching a product, you're not doing it on your own, but instead you're working with a different team of multidisciplinary areas. You're working with engineers, you're working with marketing, you're working with manufacturing, you're working budgeting and understanding if this is something feasible from different perspectives. So after you know who you're going to be working with, you can connect with your peers. You can go into the chat. You can actually send them a message on Canvas. You can connect with them, and then you can try to create the best strategies to make this happen. So then, of course, you can brainstorm about which is the company that you're going to select. The company needs to be a public company because we need to have access to data. We need to have access to the sales, to the revenue, to the market share. And if we're talking about a company that is a private company, this company does not necessarily share this information because it's private. But on the other hand, if we're talking about a public company, public companies, it is mandatory to share this type of information. So you can actually access this using secondary sources. So I want to make here like a clarification about secondary and primary sources, because whenever I'm reading your case analysis, I keep telling you, please use secondary sources, secondary sources, secondary sources. So I want to talk a little bit about primary and secondary sources. Whenever you're doing a research, you're going to have two main elements to drag information from and retrieve information. You can do it by using primary or secondary sources. When we're talking about primary sources, we're talking about the sources that you're creating on your own. Like, let's say, for example, you're going to create a product in the pet industry. And in order to do that, you need to know about the market, about the consumers, you need to know about their needs, about what is wanted, and you're going to put together a survey. This is something that is really beneficial because it will give you the exact information that is tailored to your needs. However, some of the disadvantages that we can encounter are time constraint is something that it takes a lot of time, and is something that it could be costly, because you of course need to pay money when you're going out to do the surveys, or you need to have a platform to distribute the survey, then you need to tabulate the results, you need to analyze, and then you make the decision. So then there are advantages and disadvantages with the primary source. On the other hand, we have secondary sources. Secondary sources are all those sources that are already there, they're available, someone else did it for you, which in this case, we're talking about a third party, an institution, an entity, a government, that it was looking for data and information. So then they put together the surveys, they put together the questionnaires, they did the focus group, they drag all the information, they tabulated the information, and the information is already available to use. So in this case, the main element is to use a credible source. So when we're talking about the database that we have at FIDM is something that is good because databases, they cost money. So then FIDM has like a database that they pay money for this type of information. So you can access real information in real time and you don't have to pay for this. And you know already that is something credible. Why I'm talking about credible sources? I'm talking about credible sources because in some instances, you may encounter that a company will publish a document or an article and it's something that has their interest. So let's say, for example, if I work in the tobacco industry and I'm talking about how vaping is so bad, and I start pulling the data, dragging the data, you actually need to know what was the company that is funding that research. And if I found that is the tobacco company, then I'm going to understand, of course, there is like a virality level there because it's a substitute. So then maybe this data is not as reliable. So that's what is important. So, and again, here in this class, we're going to be using secondary sources. Why? Because the reason is that we're not going to dig into the marketing element and component of analyzing and putting together and creating a survey from scratch, which it will take time and it costs money. But on the other hand, we're actually going to get more knowledgeable about using the databases that we have already on the secondary sources, and that's part of information systems. So then now that that's clear about primary sources and secondary sources, so then you go online, you start pulling the information, you have your team, you can actually brainstorm about what is the company that you're going to be working. And my biggest advice is to do a company that you're passionate about, something that you like, something that you're being curious, something that you're a user, because the main idea is to do a project that is something that you're going to enjoy. So I'm not going to tell you do this company, but I may guide you. If you have any questions, if you're debating between two companies, I can maybe guide you. I may even suggest you something different in case that is something that is being done all over and over and over. Because the main idea with this product plan is that we want to tap not just into the information system, but also start thinking out of the box. I want you guys to start thinking about a product that is realistic, about something that in case that you are in the market, you're working already, if you need to put together a product plan for a line or a company that you're working, you can actually start having like a proper foundation and you can create something solid that you can make it happen. So in that order of ideas, the way that this is divided, it is divided in different modules or different weeks. So once you have the company that you want to do, you have your team. Each week, you're going to be uploading different portions of your final. And the way that we're going to do it in a way that is going to be cumulative. You start creating the foundation, you start building, and you keep adding and adding and adding information till the end, we have a whole product plan. This product plan, I want to make sure, guys, that we know the difference and the distinctions between product plan and business plan. The product plan is just the tip of the iceberg. Here, we're not talking about all the finance. We're not talking about the risk level. We're not talking about other type of variables that you will touch and you will learn now that you are in the business field. But for now, we're just tapping the first element, which is the product development. So then how we're going to start? We're going to start by analyzing the opportunity. This is key because you need to understand that the idea that you want to move forward is an idea that has a proper environment. It has the proper landscape, which means it's something that is needed, it's something that is wanted, it's something that is going to thrive. And in order to do that, you need to analyze different variables such as consumers, what are the competitors, what are the substitutes, what is the price, do we have something already that is similar? If it's working or not working, why? And then once we know that, we need to use data and facts to support those arguments. And so then again, you're going to talk about the sales, what is the revenue, what is the market share, how many players are in the equation? Do we have a lot of competition here? How are the barriers of entrance, of exit? This is something that is really that it has a lot of demand. This is something that has a lot of competitors, so it's hard to get into the market. So those are the type of elements that you need to analyze in the opportunity. And remember, we're going to be using APA, not MLA. We're here in the business department. So in business, we use the American, this is for the American Association of Philosophy. We're actually using the template, the way that we are using our in-text and work citation, the structure, the font, the sizes, because it makes things easier to navigate. It has like a clear structure. When you're using MLA, MLA is for the arts, so it's a different type of formatting. So then remember, we're doing a research. So when we're doing a research, you don't talk in first person. You don't say, I believe, I think, I like this brand, because we're doing a research paper that it has the level, the passive level, where you're being more objective. So you cannot put together your comments, your beliefs, and that is why we bring data to prove our point. If we think that something is going to be successful, we need to prove that, instead of saying, I like the brand, so I think it's going to be really successful. I'm not saying anything. But if I talk about the trends, and if I talk about the growth that is being an exponential growth in the past 2 years, despite the pandemic, and I'm talking about clear numbers, that it jumped from 1 billion to 1.5 billion during the pandemic, that is a fact. That is something that is clear. That is something that I can verify. That is something that is a solid argument. So then those are things that we need to consider. So then again, let me show you here some examples of, let me try to navigate here. Okay, I want to show you guys some examples of templates. So here I have an APA. This is already in the module 0. So you can actually access it, and then you can just plug the information. So you have here everything with the font, with the space, with the proper way of doing the citation. It has the indentation, the head, and it shows you even how you can use the citation. On the other hand, I also uploaded in module 0 something that you can actually also navigate. And this is for, let me try to find it. I'm gonna try to find it. I wanna show you guys that also I have uploaded in the module 0. I can actually do it like this. I wanna show you the rules. So you can, of course, follow, you can, of course, follow, you can follow the template that I uploaded, but also you can read the specific rules for APA. So if you have any questions, you can just go here to APA, and in APA, you're actually gonna find the template, and you can actually even find like some examples. So then here it tells you how to cite when you have multiple authors, when you have just one author, when the person is repeated, when you only have the institution, and so on. So this is like a good practice for you to get acquaintance. I know that when we're doing the case analysis, it is not mandatory to use APA, and I get it really flexible. However, it is a good practice for you. If you start getting more familiar with the formatting of APA, this is actually something that it will be really beneficial for you. So then moving forward, I want to show you how the structure is. So then now that you know about the opportunity, now that you know about this is a good product, this is a product that survived the pandemic, this is a product that has a good market, there is a need, you can actually even move forward into the next stage, which is the strategy. So then in this portion, you're actually going to analyze not just the product, but you are actually going to analyze all the 4 Ps. You're going to analyze the product, you're going to analyze the promotion, you're going to analyze the market, you're going to analyze the channels of distribution, and then you're going to be more concrete about how you're going to make this happen. You know, you have an opportunity, you know that there is a need, you know that there is a profitable market, but now the question is how you're going to make that happen. Do you have the skills? Did you have the team to make that happen? Do you need to hire something specific? Are you going to have a specific marketing campaign because you're going to have influencers? Are you going to have a limited edition and this is something that it will be different from you? Are you going to collaborate with another brand? Are you going to be sustainable? Are you going to be X, Y, and Z? This is the portion where you tap how you're going to be different, how you're going to differentiate, why this is something that is going to work out and is not already there in the market. So that's why you are so unique. You know that there is something that you can do, and you know how to do it. You have the tools, you have the elements, you have the people, you have the software, you have all the variables to make that happen. And if done, you can actually even state it. You say at this stage, we don't have this, but for the launching, we're going to do a demo, blah, blah, blah. And then we will create another version that is going to be a luxurious version. And for that version, we will have blah, blah, blah. So please remember, when you're writing a document, and it's a research document, try to always incorporate graphics, always incorporate images, describe your product, describe the attributes, describe the market, use graphics, a pie, a chart that is showing you how the sales are declining, are status, how something is seasonal, who is the consumer, what are the substitutes, who are the competitors, what are the materials, what is the manufacturing process, and so on. So you can make it in a way that when we are reading, your product plan is something that it flows, is something that increases engagement. When you're reading and you see images, you retain the data, you retain the numbers, you retain the consumers, and it's easier. This is the power of storytelling. So even though it's still you're writing a product plan, which is something that is more formal for the tone and the language that you're going to be using, you still need to sell your idea and think about you're selling this into potential investors. You're selling this, you're trying to find a venture capital or something that you're tapping, or even you're actually promoting the idea to your boss to make this happen. So this is a good practice to show you guys whenever you are actually putting together a document and you need to have the foundation, you need to have the idea, but also you need to know how to communicate it. That's one of the things that I have realized as a product design, that in a lot of cases, one of the problems that most of people encountered and we encounter is like selling the idea. So then sometimes we have the idea, it's a good idea, but if we don't know how to sell it, maybe it's not gonna thrive, even though it's a good idea. So then that's what I want you guys to really try working on that aspect as well. So then moving forward, we talk already about the opportunity, we'll talk already about the strategy. After that, we're coming into the questions. You're gonna ask some specific questions between 10 and 15. And then you're going to start asking questions. What are all the elements that you need, the elements more necessary in order to make this product happen, from the conception to the launch? And then you're going to start thinking from the general to the particular. You can actually start thinking about the market, about the revenue. You can think about the attributes. You can think about the consumers. What are the age, the demographics? And then you start narrowing things till you start being more specific into your specific product. Attributes of the product, materials, channels of communications, and so on. Next week, we're going to work on finding information. So when we find information, we're going to answer the questions that we state on week 6. And in order to do that, I want you guys to be really clear and really specific. Some of you have read in my comments during the case analysis and the discussions. Please be really clear. If I said that something is good for the environment, I'm not being as clear. Something is good for the environment. What is good for the environment? Why I'm making that statement, and what is my foundation? So then again, remember to use data. Remember to use secondary sources to support that answer, and be really objective. Don't just say that something is applicable, something is nice, something is desirable, because at the end of the day here, I'm not saying anything and it's really subjective. But by the time I'm using numbers, I'm using facts, I'm using data, I'm using secondary sources, it is much better. Moving forward, week 8, we're going to talk about systems. So then again, we talk already about the triada, about the components, how we have people, we have systems, and how we have the elements of to combine them with softwares. So then again, remember, data by itself, facts by itself, it doesn't mean anything. If I take my computer, I take an Excel file and I start seeing a lot of numbers, they don't make sense by the time I start encountering a pattern. If I start seeing a pattern and I'm able to take the information that is really relevant, that's when I'm able to give the value and capitalize the knowledge. So then again, remember, data by itself is nothing. Is when I'm able to pull and retrieve that information. I'm able to understand the patterns. I'm able to understand and tap what is happening. Something is increasing, decreasing, something is plateau, something is an outlier. This is something that, of course, you're going to learn this in statistics when you have some data points that you are not going to consider because they are out too high or too low. And after that, you need to make an informed decision. You need to promote your brand more. You need to start changing your portfolio, create a new development. You need to start tapping into a different consumers, different demographics. You need to change your prices. You need to think about seasonal products. That's the type of decisions that you can make if you have the proper support with the data and the information. So then with the systems, again, of course, we have two main elements. We have a software and we have a hardware. So then with your computer has some chips, has some micro components, but they also need to work together with the software. They are all in sync. If you have a program that doesn't have the proper hardware, it won't run properly because it doesn't have the support. So it's an element that it needs to be in sync and in balance. But then again, we have components such as the hardware, software, and we need the human element in order to make things happen. So then what type of systems do you need for your company to make things easier, to flow, to be on the same page? Do you need a system to track your product, to track your channels of distributions? Do you need a system for customer relationship management, CRM? Do you need something to track the finance, the expenses, something for inventory? Do you need a CAD, computer aid design? Do you need a manufacturing system? Do you need something to analyze how the mold is going to open when you are creating a device, which is computer aided manufacturing system? Do you need to analyze those systems? And they all need to be in sync and they all need to be together. So of course, by the time you're having a group of people who are working in a product development, they all need to be informed with the same variables and understand. And by the time we're using software and hardware, they can actually make our life easier if we know how to use them properly. So then in this case, you're actually going to analyze and research what do you need from the conception to the launch. And finally, you're going to conclude. In the conclude, you can actually even talk how the project was, if it's something that is feasible, if this is something that at the end of the day, you realize it doesn't have a market, or there is something that came up recently that is like your idea and you want to improve it. Let's say that you find out about the mistakes that you made across the way. This is fine. You can still talk about recommendations. That's the most important part. Whenever you're doing a research, you're going to conclude and then you're going to recommend, because there were, for example, some elements that you didn't consider by then, and you know that they are important, but you were limited with time or with money. So then you can even state this, and you can say it in a future stage, we will explore X, Y, and Z, because it will take more time. We will do a demo, we will do a prototype, we will blah, blah, blah. So that's the stage, that's the conclusion. After we have our signature assignment, it will be being accumulative, which means for the first week, you're going to upload the opportunity. I'm going to give you and provide you some feedback. And after the feedback, my main advice is to make the corrections before moving forward. So if I'm talking about improving your data, finding more data, please do that before going into the strategy, because you need to have a solid foundation in order to navigate and create a comprehensive, a solid product plan. So after the opportunity on week 4, for week 5, you're going to make the corrections. And on week 5, you have the strategy. So what you're going to do is that you're going to upload the opportunity plus the strategy. So then now you have this package that includes both, and it has the corrections. Then moving forward for questions is the same thing. If you have some feedback about strategy, please make the proper changes, then move into questions. And then you're going to upload the package that includes already opportunity, strategy, questions, and so on. So as I mentioned, our product plan is something that it keeps building and building till the end. We have all the elements from opportunity, strategy, questions, finding information, systems, and conclusions. And after that, you have your whole paper. So then every week you're going to get 10 points maximum. And at the end, you're going to be able to accumulate 100 points, which means if you're being consistent, if you're being working, making the proper changes, that grade will be reflected. If on the other hand, there are some changes that you didn't make from the beginning, that's actually also going to be reflected with the final. So remember, I'm doing this in a way that we can be really realistic. I like with the academia, I like actually bringing real cases and make things feel more like the real world that you're going to be exposed. So that's why we're going to have these themes. That's why you're going to be able to understand and navigate and try to communicate with your peers, because that's one of the main points when you're doing a product development. You're not going to be working on your own. You're going to be working with other departments. You need to coordinate and you need to know how to communicate. There are a lot of elements that are going to be involved. Time management, expertise. Who is the expert in this field? How are you going to make the proper suggestions to improve a part? Is someone missing the deadlines? This is the same thing that it will happen in a company. You will encounter the same bottlenecks. And are you working with internal deadlines? What type of platform are you going to be using to share internal information? Are you going to be using a Google Doc? Are you going to be using something on Canvas? Are you going to be using Microsoft to collaborate? How you're actually going to do, how you're going to make the changes so then people can be on the same page. Then something that is also critical is that in this class, I always ask all my students to upload the product plan, which means whenever you have a deadline for the week 4 opportunities strategy and so on, I ask every single student to upload. And the reason is because I want to keep consistency. This is something that I have encountered in the past. I don't want everything relying in one person, that there is a leader, and then that person is waiting till midnight to get all the portions, put everything together and upload it. That happens a lot. And I don't want all the load being in one person, which is kind of the leader of the group, because it shouldn't be like that. We should all participate in an equal level and we should all be accountable for our work, hitting the deadlines and communicating properly. If something is happening, you're having problems with the deadlines, it's okay. You just talk to the peers, to your peers, and you talk to me, you communicate. It is life. We have sometimes things that happen, you get sick, you got a problem. We can work that out, but in order to make things happen, I want you guys to communicate in advance, not just at last minute when it's week 10 and then you're failing and then you just communicate and say to me, oh, I'm so sorry, I had a problem with this. That's already till you cannot. And this is not just for this class, this is for life. You know, again, if you're having a problem, it's better for you to communicate so then we can help you and we can support you. We can extend the deadlines, we can explain the material better, there are ways. So this is it. So then again, remember, I want everyone to upload the information, upload the signature assignment, because I don't want everything to rely on one person. And I want also to check consistency. That's another element I have encountered. Sometimes members of the same team, they have different documents, and they have different documents is because they are having internal problems of communication. They are not giving the proper information to the rest of the peers. So I want to avoid that type of problems. I want you guys to really work in sync with all your peers. So that is so far what I have for now. And as I show you, we have here some examples that you can actually even see that they're already available. So if you go and check your Canvas, you can actually, in the module 0, you can actually navigate and find some examples that I uploaded already. Those are examples in different fields. So then you can actually even explore. It's not something that you actually need to you can explore in any area. So I have students working things for Disney, Toys R Us, Frito-Lay, Nestle, I have Tesla, I have Apple, I have Google, I have Mattel, Lululemon. With that one, be really careful because they're being recurring ideas. So I want you guys to think out of the box and try to create something different. Of course, a lot of developments in the cosmetic industry. As you know, the cosmetic industry has a lot of momentum. So then this is something that, of course, is really desirable and a lot of people are tapping into that industry. The only point to consider with the cosmetic industry is the level of saturation and the barriers of entrance. The barriers of entrance are really low So then consider about those type of elements. You know, if you're actually going to be working in that field, try to differentiate. So I have here 2 examples. One is about tampons, Lola tampons. And this is a really interesting example that it shows you the proper, you know, good citation, good images, good storytelling. It's a product that has an interesting market. It's a product that is conscious, that is with a trend that is about more sustainable, which is actually something that is dragging a lot of attention. So then this is an interesting project. The other one that I have here is Tesla, which of course is really conscious, is driving a lot of attention with the solar panels and then self-driving cars. So then this is another interesting example that you can guys explore and read on your own. So then, as I'm saying, examples are a way to guide you. They are not perfect, but I want you guys to have an idea, but also try to create your own product development and try to create something that it goes beyond. So then that's it for today. I don't know if we have any questions so far about the signature assignment, about the teams, about what is needed. Yes, go for it, Ben.
Hi, so I saw that it's maximum 4 people, but on my group, there are 6 people, so I don't know.
It's okay. And the point is because this, you know, we have a problem at last minute. So then I have actually to combine 2 of my classes. So that's why I usually, and even though I have to admit, when this class was, when I used to teach it in person, the number of team members, it was even larger. And that was another variable that we were trying to teach, which is kind of like everyone is going to be a head of department. So then we have even like 10 students with a different role in a product development. So here, yes, thank you for asking, but you are going to even encounter 6, which means you're going to be working with 5 more people, which means you're going to be coordinating. So it could be something really good or it could be really bad, but then the main idea is to learn out of this experience. Of course, when you're dealing with people, you need to coordinate, you need to find a leader, you need to distribute things, you need to communicate and learn how you're going to make this happen. And it's the same thing that it will happen in reality when you're creating something. You will have to work with people. So then remember also, this class is divided in a way that you can shine on your own. That's why you have the case analysis. That's why you have the weekly discussions. But then also we want you guys to train you working in teams, which is also really important for life. You know, you're going to develop this type of skills by doing things. Does it make sense? Yeah, awesome. Any more questions? Or are we good? I think we're good, guys. Okay, so then, as you know, get together with your teams, brainstorm, try to do something that it makes sense, that you like, that you feel passionate about. If you have any questions, let me know, send me a message using Canvas or using my email. And try even, again, try to think out of the box, you know? Okay, have a great weekend, guys. And have a great Halloween. Happy Halloween.
Thank you.
Yep, bye.